Hello my love. Welcome to Blow Up, where Reddit's juiciest stories detonate. Today we've got 6 AITA explosions, think petty law school wins, driveway dramas and wedding snubs. Ready for the pettiness? Smash that like button, subscribe and let's dive into the Reddit blaze. My 3-year odyssey of spite finally came together yesterday. When I was a fresh college grad in 2022, 21F at the time, I dated an attorney for about 3 months, 27M. He was a talented lawyer, spoke lucidly about what he did for work, and I trusted his opinions about the legal profession. So, after I finished a post-grad internship, I told him my real post-grad aspiration was to get a job at a law firm as a paralegal, and work as one until I was ready to apply for law school. He literally scoffed at me and told me I would be better off as a court clerk. I don't mean to harp on court clerks at all, it is a very difficult job, but it is more administrative in nature, and from the way he said it, it was exceedingly clear he meant the comment to be derogatory. He didn't elaborate on why he said this, but it was implied. I was taken aback and really fucking hurt, but at 21 I hadn't learned to have a spine yet, so I brushed it off. A few weeks later, I was working my first paralegal job. We broke up shortly after for reasons I'm sure you can guess. Anyway, he was right that I'm not going to be a paralegal. I took my LSAT last fall, scored in the 98th percentile, sent out my apps, committed to UC Berkeley Law yesterday, ranked about 90 spots above his law school, but who's counting? And am going to become a lawyer. He is currently blocked on LinkedIn after I was the recipient of some profile creeping from him, but today I'm going to unblock him so he can see. Definitely reminiscent of the scene from Legally Blonde where she gets the prestigious internship. Remember those hours we spent in the hot tub on spring break? Well, this is so much better. I'm blown away by the number of kind comments this post has received. Thank you so much for sharing in my pettiness. I hope you're all achieving your dreams too. X got schooled, OP's at Berkeley, petty perfection. I bet he's still creeping while she's Elwoods and Giat. Someone get him a tissue and OP a Spike Queen crown, law school flex for the ages. That's a Legally Blonde banger. AITA verdict. Is OP the asshole for this petty flex, or is X's shade deserved? Would you unblock him too or keep him blocked? How do you handle doubters? Drop your take below. And if you've had a petty win, spill it. I'm craving more blow-up-worthy glow-ups. I live on a fairly large, 4,800 acres, ranch in Montana. I'm not a rancher and I don't pretend to be, but I inherited the ranch and lease most of the land out to people who know what they're doing. Now, when I took possession of the property, I had the boundaries reviewed and marked by a surveyor, and with my trusty ATV I verified that the fence was intact all around my property, and was marked no trespassing according to the law. Met my neighbors, tried to live quietly in the beauty I had. One day coming back from town, I found 3 cars blocking my driveway. My driveway is a private, graded gravel road, about 1¼ miles long from my fenced, marked, gate on the public access road. Nobody around, and because of the way the road was built with drainage ditches on either side, no way to drive around them and no way to drive past them. But I was about 3/4 of a mile from my house. I climbed up on my truck to see if I could see anyone around, no joy. Now, I considered just chaining onto the vehicles and towing them with my truck at least until I can get by, but I figured I'd better get some witnesses. So, I called it into the sheriff's office. Fortunately, the deputy on duty on my side of the county was fairly close by, so he swung by in a half hour or so. "Hey doc," he said, "I'm an emergency physician in the local hospital, and know most all of the emergency responders." Bob, how's Charlie, his teenage daughter, who I had seen a few months earlier in the emergency department, doing? "She's back to normal, thanks," he said. "What's up?" I pointed to the vehicles. "I came back from town and found these cars parked here. I don't know who they are, can't get past them and can't see anyone around here. I'd like to get past them to get to my house." "Well, I can ticket them and order them towed, but the nearest tow truck is probably 2 hours away. Why not just tow them yourself?" "That's what I was thinking of doing, but I wanted a witness." "Okay, document. Let me give you a hand." So, we took some pictures of all of it and towed the cars out of the way, which caused some damage to the road surface, gravel, right? The damage is what really annoyed me. I had just paid the bill to have the road graded and more gravel added, something that has to be done every year or so on such roads. But I was able to get by, which was the important thing. The next morning the cars were still there. And the next morning, so the cars had been there 3 days now, they were still there. I'd had enough. I drove out to the cars with some wooden cribbing and a high-lift jack and jacked the cars up, put cribbing down and left the cars there, wheels up in the air. It took 2 more days before anyone showed up. 8 people showed up, angry because their cars had been essentially booted. They really didn't like it when I told them they owed me for parking and damage done to the road because they blocked it. You know this is a private road, right? I asked. We didn't know. You had to pass a closed gate with signs to get onto this road. Then you blocked the road because you were too stupid to park like an adult? Blocked emergency access to my home? I should have had your cars towed, which the sheriff told me I could do. They started threatening me, saying they'd call the police. Go for it. Turns out they were backpacking, and their phones had all died, so they wanted me to call the police. Fair enough. The deputy, Bob again, showed up, and since he already knew the situation, their claims didn't get far. This time I had Bob trespass them and escort them off my property. They can wait for the tow truck on the public road, I said. Also, Bob, I'd like to have their names, addresses, license numbers and vehicle registration noted in your report for my lawsuit. No problem, Doc. He took them to the public road, 3 trips. Called a tow truck, which took 4 hours to arrive. $500 fee per vehicle to lower them. I got the cribbing back and tow them off my property to the public road. They were still trespassed. About a month later, I received notice they were suing me. Fair enough, I counterclaimed them in the local court. They were from Denver, which is a drive away. My lawyer laughed at their claims. So did the judge. And they were very unhappy when he ordered them to pay for resurfacing the road, again, plus storage and punitives. They threatened to appeal. My lawyer explained they were welcome to do so, but the appeal would still be in Montana in the state Supreme Court. Montana doesn't have an intermediate appellate court, in Helena. In likely 3 years before it's scheduled, plus legal fees on their end. And their odds of losing were pretty high. Plus, we'd be including more legal charges, plus charges for their camping on my land, damages, etc. I found at least one campsite where they left trash around, including an envelope with their name on it. It took a year, but I got the payment from the third hiker last week. I decided that the money will go to help pay for my annual summer barbecue for the county's emergency responders. 2 days of smoked brisket and the trimmings, games for the kids, swimming in my pool or my stream and whatever. I do this every year since it's a small town. Small town living, so much better than the big city I originally came from. Trespassers blocked the road, got jacked, Montana style. I bet they're still whining while OP's barbecue NG. Someone get them a map and OP a ranch boss hat. Driveway drama crushed. That's a ranch road rampage. AITA verdict. Is OP the asshole for jacking the cars, or were trespassers asking for it? Would you tow them too or wait? How do you handle property invaders? Drop your take below. And if you've pulled a petty property move, spill it. I'm dying for more blow-up-worthy justice. This happened about a year and a half ago, but something came up today that reminded me of it. Throwaway account because I have a strict policy of not posting anything personal on my main. I was at the local grocery chain looking for something for dinner. Their uniform is tan slacks and a branded denim blue button-down short-sleeved shirt. I can't remember what I was wearing, but I can tell you for sure my outfit wasn't even close to that. It's also worth mentioning I had a big pair of over-ear headphones on listening to some tunes at way too loud a volume. So, I'm standing in the middle of an aisle looking for something when a disheveled young man puts himself between me and the food. I distinctly remember he reeked of booze and body spray. His lips start moving, so I take my headphones off. He asks rather loudly, "Where's the beer?" I wanted to get out of this situation quickly, so I just say to him, "Sorry dude, I dunno. I don't work here," put my headphones back on and start to walk away. He then ripped my headphones off, threw them on the ground and asked again rather angrily this time, "Where's the beer?" I paused and thought about just booking it. Dude's obviously shit-faced, angry shit-faced and escalating. That's a dangerous situation to be in. Instead I did something stupid and shot back at him with, "I said I don't work here, man. Besides, don't you think you've had enough?" And that's when he took a swing at me. Now, in this moment I had a few things working in my favor. He's drunk, coordination isn't currently his strong point. This wasn't exactly David versus Goliath. I'm a short guy, so most people are bigger than me. But I'm not scrawny. Just average build. But it's not like this guy was fucking 6'20" and made of steel. I've done martial arts for almost 20 years. I'm not some badass MMA fighter though. I started as a kid, but I haven't sparred or even been in a dojo in about a decade. I was never award-winning or best in my class. Just persistent. I still keep up with my practice at home to keep my form and to stay in shape. But given how long it's been since I've so much as sparred, and how I've never been in a real fight, he and I were both surprised when muscle memory kicked in and he found himself redirected face first into the floor. First time I've ever done that. He gets up and scoots back a bit and starts yelling about how he's going to sue me, and I'll be arrested for assault. If he hadn't drawn any attention before, he certainly has now. I was honestly pretty freaked out myself. I remember he was bleeding from his nose and I think it broke on impact. I was worried with breaking his nose I was actually going to end up in cuffs, but I wasn't going to run out of the store and flee. So eventually a manager of some kind showed up and tried to figure out what was happening. I tried to explain while the other guy kept yelling over me. The cops were called and we both end up sitting there for the hour it takes for them to show up. The cops separated us, then asked us and some employees what happened. The manager also took one of them back to what I assume was the office to look at the security footage. They came back some time later and the cops put the drunk dude in handcuffs and carted him off. I was asked to give a statement explaining again what happened, as well as my phone number for if they need to follow up. Then was left to go on my way. I never did hear from them again, and after a few weeks of worried waiting that was the last I thought about it. Until today. Today I was back in that same store doing my weekly grocery shopping. When I got to the register to check out, there he was. Drunk dude was my cashier. I didn't recognize him, but he recognized me. He was sober, clean-shaven, cleaned up. Just a completely different person. After he confirmed I was who he thought I was, he launched into an apology. I told him it was water under the bridge and I was happy he seems to have bounced back. So we start talking as he rings up my stuff and he explains. His alcoholism led him to drop out of college and struggle to hold down a job. He'd been spiraling for a year or two before the incident. Apparently losing a drunken fight and catching charges for public intoxication and assault were the wake-up call he needed to make changes in his life. He said as soon as he was out of police custody he checked himself into rehab and joined a support program. The last time he drank was the morning of the day we met. Now he's a year and a half sober, and he's even signed up for classes at the local community college. I told him I was really happy for him. I asked him, quietly, how he managed to convince the place to hire him given what happened. He said he wouldn't say who, but it helps that someone at corporate happens to be his sponsor. Drunk dude swung, got floored, then reformed. I bet he's still thanking OP's fist. Someone get him a sobriety coin and OP a Isle Avenger, cape, grocery glow up for the win. That's an Isle redemption arc. AITA verdict. Is OP the asshole for fighting back, or was drunk dude out of line? Would you throw down too or run? How do you handle mistaken identities? Drop your take below. And if you've had a store showdown, spill it. I'm hungry for more blow-up-worthy twists. I, 27F, am the youngest in a family of 5. My siblings are 10+ years older than me. We're all full siblings too. I was the accidental pregnancy that happened when my parents were done having kids. I have often questioned if because I was accidental pregnancy, they never really wanted me and therefore we've ended up here. But of course nobody ever said that to my face. That's just where my brain goes. There is a repeated pattern of everyone having plans or being busy when it's my birthday or something important happens in my life. With my siblings I understand more. We were never close and they never pretended we were or that they cared. It's different with my parents. Some examples I can mention. I had a joint 16th birthday party with my best friend. I was 16 that Friday, she was 16 that Sunday, and the party was Saturday. My best friend's parents paid for both of us. Even invited my whole family. My siblings never replied, which I took to mean no. My parents said they had other plans even though they never told me that before when I had asked them about the party. They never said it when I originally invited them either. They said my siblings would come to make up for it, but they told our parents they had important jobs they couldn't get away from on a Saturday night. For my 18th birthday I invited them out to a family dinner. My siblings said they were all working that weekend. My dad said he was going to be in hospital after a procedure he never mentioned before and he didn't actually have in the end, and he wasn't in the hospital, though he did go somewhere that night. My mom said she was visiting her sister and couldn't get away. None of them had other dates they could say they'd be free. My 21st was the same. Only my parents said they would come and they didn't. They all had medical/dental stuff going on. My high school and college graduation were 2 events where everyone had medical appointments and could not reschedule to come. I started going to therapy a couple of years ago to help me navigate how I felt about everything. My original therapist was really good, but she had to leave due to illness and I struggle with my current one. She has encouraged me to keep trying with my family and to always be open for them to return my efforts. She said it's important to never give up on family. I was reaching the end of my rope when my fiancé and I got engaged. Especially with how close I've become to my future. I was talking to him about how I didn't know if I should invite them to our engagement party or wedding and how I didn't want to, but a part of me felt like I had to because of the therapist. He suggested I make one more attempt by inviting them to the engagement party, and if none of them show up, I can say I tried over the years and even gave them one more chance, but I have to move on for my own peace of mind and our future kids. He said then we can get married, knowing I had given them more chances than most would. Nobody showed up to our engagement party. Everyone had medical appointments from 8 p.m. until late on a Friday night. My whole family. Both parents, all 4 siblings and their partners and kids. I did what my fiancé suggested and decided I was done. Felt so good, still feels so good. But they found out invites went out and I was asked why they weren't invited or given info on the wedding. I told them I knew they would be too busy and didn't want to inconvenience them by having to explain all the important stuff going on in their lives that prevented them from coming to my wedding. There was some backlash from my text before I blocked them. It felt good to be free. But then my therapist was saying my wedding was a big thing to not invite them to, and did I really want to close the door forever and be the kind of person who doesn't value family? For a while I have considered if I need a different therapist. My fiancé believes so from what he's heard from me. But I don't know if that's just because he's so protective of me or if the therapist is right and I'm being an ass and she's trying to stop me from being one. Family flaked, got cut, savage text. I bet they're still busy while OP's wedding's lit. Someone get them a calendar and OP a freedom fighter ring. Family snub nailed. That's a wedding liberation. AITA verdict. Is OP the asshole for ditching family, or are they justified? Would you invite them anyway or cut ties? How do you handle flaky relatives? Drop your take below. And if you've snubbed family, share it. I'm starving for more blow-up-worthy rebellions. So I, 30F, am getting married later this year and asked my 19-year-old niece to be one of my bridesmaids. She was really excited at the time, and I've made an effort to keep everyone in the loop with wedding plans. At the beginning of this month, I sent out a group message reminding everyone of the date we were going wedding dress shopping. I also followed up with individual reminders since it's a big deal to me and I wanted to make sure everyone could make it or at least let me know if not. Fast forward to this week, I mentioned it again and my niece genuinely had no idea what I was talking about. Okay, annoying, but people forget things, I can understand that. What I don't understand is what's happened since. She's completely ignored me. She hasn't replied to any messages. She's left my texts on read. She's ignored my calls. And yet, she is answering calls from my dad, her granddad, even telling him she'd call me, and then not doing it. At this point, it's not even about forgetting the date. It's the ignoring me afterwards that's really hurtful. This is a special time in my life, and I feel like I'm being treated like an afterthought. I don't want to deal with flakiness and silence in the lead up to what should be a happy time, especially not from someone who agreed to be a part of the wedding party. So now I'm seriously considering removing her as a bridesmaid. I'm not even mad anymore, just kind of done. But part of me feels guilty because she's young and maybe I'm overreacting? WIBTA if I take her out of the bridal party? Niece ghosted, bridesmaid spots shaky, bridal burn. I bet she's still dodging texts while OP's planning. Someone get her a planner and OP a bride boss tiara. Wedding drama dodged. That's a bridal party bust. WIBTA verdict. Would OP be the asshole for cutting niece or is ghosting unforgivable? Would you boot her too or give grace? How do you handle flaky bridesmaids? Drop your take below. And if you've had wedding party woes, spill it. I'm ready for more blow-up-worthy zingers. My ex and I split close to 2 years ago. We share a 12, 8 and 4-year-old who I have full-time custody of, and my ex has every Friday 4 p.m. till Saturday 8 p.m. He pays no child support, owes a lot but just doesn't pay, and I pay for everything that the kids need throughout the year, including school supplies/uniforms and sports/extracurricular activities, etc. Typically when my ex picks the kids up from school on Friday, he will swing by my house and grab the bags I've packed that have PJs, toothbrushes, clothes and shoes for the kids for their time with him, and then he just returns the bags full of dirty uniforms and clothes when he drops them off for me to wash. Last week we had an argument because I told him he needed to buy clothes for the kids for his house as I was sick of packing them bags and then having to wash it all when he drops them off. He says he shouldn't have to as he bought the kids clothes/toys when we were together, etc., and he didn't take any when we separated, so I owe him half the kids' clothes. So I gave them to him. Not the clothes that they have now that I've bought them in recent months as they grew. I gave him half the clothes that the kids were wearing when we separated. So the size 2, 5 and 10 clothes which I had in the garage. Now my ex is bombarding my phone with texts insulting me, saying I'm a horrible person for it and that I owe him still. So am I the asshole? Obviously I am not expecting my children to wear clothes that don't fit them. I simply gave them to my ex as he was claiming he was owed them from when we were together. So yes, that was me being petty against my ex. But I wouldn't make my kids suffer. That's messed up. My lawyer is actively seeking child support. My ex is being contacted weekly for it, phone calls and letters. But it's difficult as he doesn't have a wage to garnish. Self-employed taking shareholders something/drawings, I don't understand it, but essentially they can't garnish it. I will receive a small amount in the next month or two as my ex filed his taxes for the year, and he was owed a refund, which will come directly to me as child support. He has made it very clear if I take him to court, he will make things difficult for me. Including he will try to go for full custody. Both of us know he would never get it, he admits he won't. But he knows that I don't want the kids to go through a court case as they will be interviewed as part of it, and I have trauma from going through the same when I was a kid. As far as our kids are aware, their dad and I are friends. Again, trauma from my parents' messy divorce, so we've made sure the kids don't see anything except in the very beginning. Ex wanted clothes, got toddler sizes, petty genius. I bet he's still texting while OP's laughing. Someone get him a diaper and OP a divorce diva, sash, co-parenting clapback crushed. That's a divorce dunk. AITA verdict. Is OP the asshole for the tiny clothes, or is ex's whining fair? Would you pull this petty move or play nice? How do you handle deadbeat exes? Drop your take below. And if you've thrown divorce shade, share it. I'm starving for more blow-up-worthy pettiness. Wow, blow-up fam, those AITAs were petty dynamite. Which explosion had you shook? Tell me below. I'm reading every comment. Smash that like button and subscribe for more Reddit chaos. Thanks for vibing with me. Next time we've got wilder tales. You won't want to miss it. Catch you then.